Hello everyone, my name is Ilakindos, and today I'll be using my channel for what it was originally intended to be, a diary. Today, at work, I had the worst experience ever, as well as an eye-opening one. I do not wish to give out too much information, so I want to keep my personal life away from my internet life, but I'll try to summarize it the best I can. During my work, I had a customer come in. She wanted an order. To make this order, you need to answer a list of questions. As the customer replied, I gave her the next question, and I saw her face slowly changing, which I didn't understand what it was at the moment. It is then when she started crying, which shocked me. I began to walk away, confused what was going on, and wondering if something was wrong. This seemed to have been a bad mood, as she immediately got enraged and began telling me that I was doing an awful job, treating her awfully, and rushing her, as well as being an awful person. This continued as she began crying, and I was confused and did not know how to react. I later realized this was more of a pity party, but I'll get to that later. I went to get a manager as she was clearly upset with me, even though I was doing nothing wrong. After calling the manager, I told her that I was sorry for making her feel this way, and the manager would be here shortly. Doing so, she began crying again, saying that I was treating her awfully, and that we were talking face to face, and that this was my job and I should be doing it properly, which I was. I was simply asking questions that she needed to reply to me to, and she just started crying. Upon the manager's arrival, I explained to him that she had a problem with my attitude and to help her as best as possible. She went off with him, not far from where I was, when a new customer came in. As luck would have it, this new customer wanted something very similar to her, so I began to ask them the same questions. As this was going on, she apparently finished with her order and began to harass me. At the moment, I didn't see it as harassment. I just thought that she was very upset with me. But she began to tell me that I was treating this new person better, that I was answering her question better, that I was giving her more time, which I wasn't. I was simply asking a question, they replied, and I gave out the next question. This list takes a while, and I can't just simply give them like 40 seconds between every question, otherwise it will take forever. I began to reassure her that I was treating them both the same, asking the same questions, and giving them enough time for them to reply as I ask for another question. She was not happy with this, telling me constantly that I was treating them better than her and harassing me. It was during this conversation that I realized that she wanted something from me. It was basically her acting like a victim, wanting me to like have pity for her for feeling the way she did. I was sorry for the way she felt, but that doesn't mean that I need to basically lick her arse, for lack of a better word. This did nothing to stop her, as she still wanted me to like apologize in some extravagant manner, and I kept telling her that I was sorry for the way she felt, but this is just how I treat everybody, and all the questions need to be answered. It doesn't mean that I was attacking her or being negative to her specifically. This of course didn't satisfy her. As I said before, she was looking for something more, and I was simply not giving it to her. It is then when I realized, well, it is then when she announced that she was recording all of this, which shocked me because this was basically her threatening me. It was then that my suspicions that she was acting like a victim became solidified. I, of course, do not undermine her feelings. She felt bad. She started crying. So it's definitely hurt her in some way, even though I didn't mean to. But that does not change the fact that she not only harassed me, played the victim, but also threatened me with her socials. The way she acted, it was almost as if she was very accustomed to doing so. I don't know if this was something she started to do in the very beginning, since I wasn't really paying attention to her phone. She did have it with her, but I didn't know if she started from the very beginning. But that's not important. What is important is that she acted way too familiar to this, almost as if she's done this many times. This scares me because she could probably be one of those TikTok personalities, and based how she acted, she may actually put my face out there and tell them exactly where I live. And people like her usually have really bad fans that can do harm to me just because she felt that her pride was slighted. And I do not know how to defend myself against this, but this is why I made this video in the first place. She left shortly after threatening me, as she was talking to me and the manager was around. She probably was scared that the manager was going to stop her or confiscate her phone, so she left quickly after announcing that she was recording everything. That was the entire process of the experience I had, awful as it may have been. It was also an enlightening one. After this fiasco, my coworker came back from lunch, and I was able to relax from the tension of the situation. I went back to the back rooms and began to cry. My emotions were unstable and I felt incredibly awful. I am actually not a very outgoing person, as I am more like an extreme introvert that has learned to cope with being around people due to my job as is required. For those who have seen my first video, you have probably noticed that the corner of my lips look like somebody is pulling them, as I am trying my best to keep up the fake smile I have at work, as well as a twinkle in your eye. I did this mostly because this is how I try to act around people, as well as me going online looking for tips and tricks of how to start your first video. And one of the biggest things was to always be up, top, and cheery, as well having a happy smile to bring out a good atmosphere for others. But that's just not how I am as a person, and looking back at all of it, I think that's why she was so angry with me. When she came, it was an extremely hectic time with many customers and orders to do. I didn't have much time and I don't think I was paying attention to my face, so my usual real self came out. And I don't know if it was a luck or just the culmination of everything, but thinking about how I lost my face, how just me talking to her normally made her feel in such an awful way, and saying that I was being rude to her when I was simply communicating with her, awakening a lot of things in my mind. I had other videos planned, but I deleted them constantly because I was not happy how I look. I many times lost track of my face, and when I was re-watching my recordings, I saw that I looked like I always do. And due to the tips and tricks from before, I always wanted to have a happy smile and upbeat attitude, even if that is not who I really am as a person. So I always deleted them and could never bring them out. So I think the state of me not being happy with my videos, constantly thinking about my face, her getting angry at me for acting just normally but to her acted awfully, as well as my past when my parents and my previous managers brought everything to light. I realized that I am not really a very cheery person. I try to be, and I can be if I'm truly happy, but most of the time I am not. In my resting bitch face, to put it like so, is not pleasant for others. That is why I think of this as an enlightenment, because it made me remember many things that happened in my past, especially when I used to live with my family, as well as my early management. I remember many times where I was simply talking to my parents, or just simply asking them questions or responding to them, and they got extremely angry at me, saying that I was being rude and I was being mean to them. I didn't really understand why. I was simply asking them a question or replying to what they said, but they always told me to have attitude, which I never did. I got angry whenever they said this because I was simply answering their questions, and there was no reason for them to feel in such a way. This also extended to work. I started working rather early when I was around 14, and my first manager was a rather large, muscular man who I think was the reason for my fakeness. I remember him telling me I need to change my attitude, acting extremely aggressive, if only verbally, which scared me as I was a very young child. After that, he told me I always needed to have a smile and I couldn't have this plain face of mine that you see now, which, since I started talking about that, is the reason why I'm gonna start doing my videos as my true self and not the fake smiling presence from before. I can only hope that I find people out there that like me even as I am now, and that's the fake persona I was doing in my very first video. I sort of want to delete it, but it's also a memorial to my fakeness. And that is basically the entire video. Yesterday was the first day ever as I got harassed, threatened, and basically humiliated by a random customer who did not appreciate my help and was, to be honest, extremely emotional. I am not her therapist or family member. I should not be dumped on with her emotional baggage. I have a very hard time pronouncing certain words. Hope you can forgive me. Moving on though, I hope that people don't mind my weird mannerisms, but this is how I am as a person, and I will continue being this way. If you don't like it, I am sorry, but I don't want to change myself in the internet. I'm already had to change my personality on live, and I'm gonna be scolded by my manager most likely, even though I didn't do anything wrong. But that is just how businesses work. You need to put up a fake mask to be allowed to work, even if you don't aren't the real person. Anyway, I'll end the video now since I'm beginning to lose control of my emotions again, and I'm starting to cry, although not much. Ciao!